What's going on, guys? Before we get into the video, you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up, hit that sub, hit that bell. With that being said, let's get into AJ versus Pulev. How do I see this fight going? First off, before I get into my critiques, I believe AJ should win this fight. So with that being said, there's no reason for anybody to get mad and butthurt and click off the video because of what I'm about to say next. Moving forward. What I have seen from interviews and articles, they are trying to say that AJ is looking to come in light. He's been pulling weight off, and I don't agree with a lighter AJ. Why don't you agree with it? You be Andy. Okay, check this out. He beat Andy Ruiz in the second fight because Andy Ruiz came in way overweight, couldn't cut off the ring, and just couldn't land a shot on AJ. But that means he's faster and more mobile. No, it doesn't. It means that Andy Ruiz had 2 iron boots on his feet and he was walking in water. That's what that means. Now, if you look at AJ Ruiz 1 verse 2, what did we see differently? We saw Anthony Joshua in the first one that hurt Ruiz so bad that he put him on his ass. He almost had him out of there from punching him. Actually, it was from like a single right. I believe he hit him with a straight right that knocked him on his ass and had him loopy. But then AJ got wild and got counterpunched. A punch landed from Ruiz on the top of AJ's head. It was like right above the temple on the top of his head. And it knocked him loopy and he never recovered from there. That's why he lost that fight. Not because he was big, not because he was strong, but because he got wild with his punches and got counterpunched and kind of was moving his head right into the shot that knocked him down, or knocked him loopy. With that being said, when we look at the second fight, he did much better because he won the fight, of course, and secondly, because Andy Ruiz Jr. could not hit him. Now, there's 2 ways that you could look at this. One way is AJ was lighter, faster, and that's why Ruiz couldn't catch him. Or the second way is Andy Ruiz just came in way too obese to his already obese size, and that is why he could not catch AJ. Could have been a little bit of both, or it could have been mainly that he was just too fat, too overweight, and couldn't move. But that is irrelevant to the fact that I'm about to make. The fact is, Andy Ruiz Jr. in that second fight could not catch AJ, could not hit AJ, could not find the target. And AJ was just teeing off of him, picking him apart all night. And what did we see? We saw AJ that was void of power. We saw an AJ that didn't even hurt Ruiz in that second fight at all. And people could argue with me that he did, but he did not. He sure as hell didn't knock him down. And he was pretty much hitting a punching bag and couldn't knock him down. In fact, I'll go as far as to say that AJ couldn't even knock sweat off of Ruiz's face in that fight. There was times in that fight where Andy Ruiz got frustrated, put his hands below his waist, and was yelling at AJ to come fight him. Now, a fighter who has been hurt by punches is at no point in time going to drop their hands and start yelling at their opponent for them to engage because they would be too scared to get hit by a power shot. What it was Andy Ruiz was frustrated that AJ was dancing around him, tagging him, sharpshooting him, and he couldn't get in there. But at no point in time was he hurt because he felt confident enough to wave him forward, to drop his hands, to want him to fight in the pocket. And AJ was like, nope, I'm beating you with ease out here. I'm not coming in. But the point remains that he did not hurt Andy Ruiz after landing several unanswered shots. Now, that's not the AJ I'm used to seeing when he lands shots. With this fight, they're saying that he's coming in lighter. Now, does that mean he's going to lose? No, I said at the start of the video, I believe AJ is going to win. But what I am seeing from AJ is I do not believe he is a natural puncher. What do you mean? He knocks everybody out when he fights. He's got to be a natural fight. No. There's a difference in somebody who can knock people out through strength, weight, and power versus a guy who can naturally knock somebody out. So here's what I mean by that. Take a guy like Deontay Wilder, who weighs absolutely nothing, who looks like a scarecrow, who's got no weight behind his ass to be 6'7". Doesn't matter. When he hits people, he puts them to sleep. That's a natural puncher. Deontay Wilder can improve on his technique, could actually weigh more, and hit even harder. Anthony Joshua, who outweighs Deontay Wilder, especially in that Ruiz 2 fight, looks to me like when he drops weight, he loses power, which tells me he's not a natural power puncher. He needs the weight. He needs the strength to be able to knock people out like that. And there's nothing wrong with either. It's just one guy can walk into the gym and knock people out. The other guy's got to be built for it. And that's how I feel AJ is. I feel like he's a guy that needs to be built for it. But the flip side to that is he moves faster. He looks a little more fluid. And, he can stay fighting from the outside. So it's a check and balance with AJ. You're not doing a double gain. You're gaining and losing, or you're losing and gaining, depending on what you want to gain. And I just think that him being lighter is a mistake. But we shall see as he moves forward if it is a mistake or not. I find it funny, though, that a guy who is a very mobile fighter, he said, nah, I'm going to gain weight, and that's Tyson Fury. He gained over 30 pounds to fight Deontay Wilder in that second fight. Why? Because he knew weight will equivalent to being able to hit harder. And he won by corner stoppage, RTD. So anyways, moving forward, I don't think a lighter AJ is going to benefit him against Pulev, because to me, even though Pulev is old, he's very good at cutting off the ring, and he's very good at getting on top of guys. And he's very good after he lets off. He normally throws a lot of 1-2s, not so much like dip to the body, left, right hooks to the body. You don't see him really throw left, right hooks to the face in combos. It's more when he assaults you, he's coming forward and throwing the jab and the straight, just a bunch of 1-2s that he likes to chain together. I'm not saying that he doesn't throw overhands or hooks, but what I'm saying is when he normally throws those, they're more singular shots versus when he's coming in at you, he's throwing the 1-2s stacked up. So you might see a jab, straight, jab, straight, jab, straight. He likes to combo those together versus other punch selections being comboed in there. But he's also, once he lets off his 1-2s, he's very good at tying up so that the guy that he's fighting doesn't get to fire back. So the thing is, do I believe AJ is going to cut off the ring and keep Pulev from to stay on top of him like Andy Ruiz? I do not. I think Pulev is good enough that he can work his way in, that he is good enough to not get hit by him. Hold on one second, guys. We're going to stop the video and bring it back. As I was saying, I don't believe AJ is going to be quick enough or mobile enough by losing weight to keep Pulev off of him, because I just think Pulev is too good at cutting off the ring. Now, Pulev's guard is going to be his worst enemy in this fight, okay? I see that high guard being very, very, very flawed against a fighter like AJ, whose best punch is the uppercut. Pulev likes to keep his guard very high and to the side of his head. You will tend to see him bring his forearms together so he can close up the front so jabs and straights don't get through. But what he doesn't do is when you see those forearms close, them elbows never really come together. I don't know if it's because he's not limber enough to bring them together. I don't know if it's because he's old and he can't bring them together. I don't know what it is, but you never see his elbows really touch. So that leaves prime real estate for that uppercut to get through, which I believe is AJ's best shot. I believe that AJ, if he can land that uppercut, he can hurt you bad. And that high guard is very susceptible to the uppercut. So if this does get into a close range fight, if AJ steps forward, Pulev likes to pull the high guard and start stepping backwards. If AJ can rush him by being a little bit faster than him, because I believe he will be faster, especially if he comes in lighter. I don't know if he'll be fast enough to stay away from him all fight, but he'll definitely be fast enough to come towards him and close the gap. Pulev, when you start throwing jabs at him, he tends to pull up that high guard and back up in a straight line. And he takes little half steps backwards looking to counter. But the counter shots aren't always there. But again, my point is if AJ can come in, flick a jab, step to him, feint, flick a jab, step to him, feint, and keep his guard up not to get countered coming in, that uppercut is there for the taking. That jaw is wide open for it. Also, Pulev tends to leave his jaw open whenever hooks come to his body. He likes to kind of lean to the side. So what I'm trying to describe this to y'all. So instead of him dropping his guard down, what he likes to do is when a punch is coming to his sides, like a hook, he leans to that side with the same high guard to try to block it with the elbow. Now, the problem with that is he's now using his elbow as a guard, and his guard is still high. So his arms are running down the side of his head and now down the side of his body. Can you see the problem with that? That leaves, again, that uppercut wide open to be hit, because now you have a gap in between his arm because his arms are so wide while he's trying to dip to his side to block the hooks to his body. So how I see this going is Pulev's stylistically is great for AJ's uppercut. Everything he does says that AJ should be able to land that uppercut on his jaw and put him to, well, I don't know about put him to sleep depending on how light he comes, but definitely back him up, definitely hurt him, and maybe even beat the fight out of him. I'll say this about Pulev. To me, Pulev hasn't looked as good as he has in the past. I believe he lost to Klitschko in 2014. Hasn't lost since then, and that was his only loss. But I want to say in 2017 and 18, he only had one fight. And then in 19, he had two fights, and he hasn't fought for a year. The last time we saw him fight was against Rydell Booker, I believe, and he did not look so good in that fight. Again, I will say that Rydell Booker makes everybody look bad before he fought Hrgović, and Hrgović just washed him. Like, he completely washed him. So my statement of Rydell Booker makes everybody look bad can no longer be said because of how easily Hrgović beat him. I mean, he did. He beat him easily. And, you know, Pulev went the distance with him. He won the fight, but there was definitely a fight in there to where Pulev did not look good. So I think AJ has the youth, the speed, the age, and maybe the power, depending on how much he comes in there and weighs. And that's another thing. Pulev's not a big puncher. Yes, he's knocked people out, but he's not a big single shot, I put you to sleep style puncher. So I think AJ doesn't really have too much to worry about it. And if he gets knocked out by Pulev, then we've really got to talk about his chin. Then we've really got to talk about how good he really is. Because there's no way I can see Pulev beating Tyson Fury, which at this point is the person that the winner of this fight is going to fight. Well, I guess you could say Usyk, but we're looking at end goal and say Tyson Fury. And there's no way that Pulev stands a chance against Tyson Fury. So if AJ does get knocked out, then we have got to start talking about his chin. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's highly unlikely to happen. I don't think Pulev chains. I can't even talk, y'all. I'm trying to drive, and y'all know how it is. I don't think Pulev chains his punches together well enough to be able to land them big shots like that on AJ, especially a lighter AJ who's going to be more looking to fight from the outside. And being that he is taller and has the reach, if he can stay on that outside, it's going to be even harder for Pulev to do it. So how do I see the fight going? I think AJ is going to win on points. Unless AJ comes in 250 plus, then I'll say more than likely he should be able to knock out Pulev, do that high guard. But if you see AJ coming there 240, 242, which is what I'm thinking he's probably going to come in there at, I think it goes the distance. I definitely don't see a knockout happening in this fight if he comes in that light. But we'll see if AJ proves me wrong. Maybe he'll come in at 240 and look like he has all the power in the world. Maybe he'll look like he's hitting Pulev with Thor's hammer. I just don't see it happening, and I haven't seen him show a lot of power at the lighter weight like that. So let me know what y'all think in the comment section. I know this was long, but I was trying to get it all out. Again, AJ by decision, and if he comes in heavier, I have AJ by knockout. When do I think the knockout's going to happen? Probably in the mid to later rounds, somewhere in between the 6th to the 9th, because I think it's going to take time for AJ to crack the shell to be able to start getting that uppercut through. But once he gets that timing down and sees it, I think that'll be the beginning of the end for Pulev. But anyways, again, hit up that comment section. Let me know what y'all think. And don't forget, leave a thumbs up.